Thank you, Angela. Hello, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are joining from. I'm Fulvia, and welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Chat Show. And I'm really glad, happy, and thrilled to have this evening as a guest Angela Foster. Angela Foster is a diploma holder of a Spiritualist National Union. But in a few minutes, I will tell you, as usual, Angela's bio, and then we will take it from there to the subject of the evening. And I'm really grateful because Angela accepted to be a guest this evening and come online and share her knowledge and her experience and level of expertise with us all. Good evening, Angela. How are you?
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me on here, Fulvia. I know we've known each other quite a while now, but I think this is the first time we've met face to face in this sort of environment. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here, and I'm looking forward to being with everybody this evening and hoping that they'll join in too in this conversation. So thank you.
Yes, yes. I'm sure they will. Good evening, Catherine. Thank you for joining. Um, Now, little by little, people will start joining. Um, Maybe we started a little bit earlier. No, we started on time. Okay, let's see now. I'm going to tell you about a little bit Angela, sorry, so you'll know her a little bit better. For those of you, of course, because Angela is very quite well known, by the way, in this spiritual environment. Okay, Angela lives in the UK in Cambridge, and Angela comes from a Catholic background, and she tells me I come from a Catholic background until I, and this is something that made me smile, until I realized that spirit was not resting in peace. So, uh, on the contrary, it was the spirit is busy looking after us. So Angela decided to look into the experience that she had in her early years. uh, Angela started investigating Reiki, and uh, as hello Maria, thank you for joining. Um, we are not doing readings this evening, Maria. Thank you. Um, as I was saying, Angela started investigating Reiki. Um, as you know, she thought that her daughter might be interested in it, but um, Then she found the spiritual side quite you know, attractive to her. Hello, Joe. Thank you for joining. Um, over the following years, she was introduced to her local spiritualist church, and Angela started attending developing classes. In 2011, Angela came across a group which was teaching mediumship online, but this group wound up quite shortly. So Angela decided to join the SNUI online, and on the SNUI, Angela covered the role. Was the secretary on the committee, and Angela also wrote a very informative and detailed uh, essay about the history, how the SNUI was founded, basically. And you can find this essay. Hello, Tracy. Thank you for joining. If you go on the SNU website, and you uh, wanted to learn, there are different folders from different subjects. There's the one about the SNUI, and then you can read Angela's Angela's I don't want to call article because it's really detailed. And you can find it there. And Angela spent quite a long time on the SNUI, being the secretary. And around the COVID time, Angela took downtime to um, also to achieve a qualification in teaching, um, which is it's a formal qualification to teach, equivalent to the second year in a degree in adult education, with mediumship as a specialist subject. And uh, this qualification basically rounded Angela knowledge and expertise, because allowed her to teach, and it's what she does nowadays. Um, Good evening, Angela. And Angela is here this evening to talk about the subject personal development and growth in spirituality. In spirituality. Okay, Angela, what are your thoughts? What is your experience, and how do you see um, the importance of personal development and growth in spirituality?
Oh, well, thank you, Fulvia, for that. It's amazing how you can sum up, 15 years of my life in a few sentences. And you think, gosh, that doesn't even begin to explain the highs and the lows and all the lovely bits in between, and looking after grandchildren and all that sort of thing, and retirement during just before COVID. So a lot happened at that time. It was a very full 15 years. But something doesn't stop with inside you. I have found that I'm probably a perpetual student. I love studying, and I have had many glass ceilings that I've looked at and thought, I can do more. Not I can do better, but I can do more to aid my own development. And it's easy how once you get to a certain age, education actually becomes a bit of a dirty word. And it's like, oh, I don't want to go down that route. But I looked up the word education, and it describes it as an act or process of imparting or acquiring general knowledge, developing the powers of reasoning and judgment, and generally of preparing oneself or others intellectually for mature life. And I thought, well, that's a mouthful. Perhaps I should have stayed with the word education, because I really do feel that we never stop learning. And
No, we
if
don't.
we don't, do we? And I know that you
No.
have found this because you've been going through this journey too. Something spurs you on. It may not be a formal course for all of us, but something, either we want to learn a new skill, or we want to, improve ourselves in one way or the other. And it can give a lot of personal satisfaction to actually reach a new level of understanding. So I feel that if you find something that you love, the best way that you can honor it is to push your knowledge to new boundaries. Would you not
Yeah.
agree?
Yes, I do. I do agree because for example, in your case, that you were already a teacher even before getting achieving the qualification to teach. You were already a teacher. That's it's like um an add-on, if you if we can use this word, uh, which allows you to be sure that you teach at the best of your abilities. And this is for your students. Your students are going to benefit from it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I started at a very young age. My sister, who's 2 years younger than me, was always in and out of hospitals and ear, nose, and throat issues. And I was the one that would sit and listen to her read, when I was about 6 and 7 and 8. And my father was a teacher, so there's always been a part of me that wants to share knowledge, but not just to. I think nowadays what's so exciting is that knowledge is student centered. It's not teacher centered. So it's not the teacher saying you will absorb this knowledge, but it's allowing the pupil to actually find out what they need and then best find the route to find it. But that is so much a part of our lives, whether it's learning to cook, whether it's learning to be a better parent, whether it's learning new skills in a new job. And it's just deciding where we could do that both gives us pleasure, because it should be a pleasurable experience. Any form of personal development should be a good experience. It's not to be
Yes.
suffered.
No, absolutely not. And you know a lot depends on, yeah, there are many factors, and at times, maybe, well, I speak for myself, maybe I make it hard harder for me, but in the end, I also enjoy studying. Going back to personal development, can you tell us, Angela, what broadly what personal development is, and the importance in spirituality of personal development?
Okay, this is quite an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think this aspect of understanding oneself is probably the aspect which gets the least attention in one's spiritual development, one's spiritual journey. It's a bit like, for me, it's a bit like building laying the foundation stones. And if you don't understand yourself, how can you share that understanding of what others might want to follow or understand themselves? I have the best way I can describe this, when my daughter did a degree in counseling and therapeutic studies, and the first question that was asked was, for example, I remember her saying, "How many of you are dyslexic?" Because until you understand your own weaknesses, your own shortcomings, the areas that you need improvement, it's really difficult to be empathic towards others who might need that as well. and it's a learning journey. So for me, personal development means really understanding yourself, and that's, we've heard, I think you had Veronica Jenkins in talking about the shadow self some weeks ago,
Yes.
and it's really understanding what makes us tick, what we are frightened to face, um, what areas um, of ourselves do we need to work a little bit extra on, what parts do we seek in others that should be reflected in ourselves first. It's very much an awareness and a realization of the good bits and the bad bits of who we are. So for me, personal development is not just about the nits and grits of learning a subject, but it's learning how we're going to work within that subject. And I always feel that it involves a lot of understanding and of being very, very honest with yourself, because honesty is the first stepping stone to really knowing yourself. And it doesn't, you don't, we're not perfect. And as
Well,
long as
no,
we
none
recognize
of
that,
us is. None
yeah,
of us is.
would you
No.
agree? Yeah.
Yes, I do. I do. Of course.
Yeah, so it's a journey, and I do feel that it has to be a
It's
conscious
a
choice.
journey. It's a journey of discovery, and I know. I'm aware that in spirituality, this psychological side is embraced as well, both Freud and Jung, because they cover, especially Jung, with the shadow work, and that um, you know that is important to know. That has we just finished said, it's important to know ourselves well. um how where this knowledge of ourselves can lead us in when we are pursuing spiritual development. How can support our spiritual development, Angela?
Uh, I think for me, it makes me understand that this isn't a race with a destination. And that's the biggest thing. One thing that really happens when anybody is wanting to develop a spiritual self is they forget that the journey is really important, and that the journey will backtrack, it'll go around in circles, it'll have periods of stasis, it'll have periods when it isn't the prime importance in your life, when actually living is the prime importance in your life, when bringing up children or entertaining a new job or a new relationship, that takes precedent. And it's all about being in balance. And we can get very hard on ourselves if we think that there is only one way to the top, to the top, to the top ranks, if there's going to only be one route. Because I think many of us, whether we're mediums or whether we are trying to search our way through a spiritual path, often thinks nothing's happening.
Yeah,
And
that's
that,
true.
yeah,
That's
nothing's
true. Yeah.
happening. And you think nothing's happening and nothing's still happening. So you talk to your spirit team and you go, well, nothing's still happening. But I've got this belief that very much we're like planes, we're like aeroplanes. We're all a different sort of aeroplane. Right. So some of us might be fast jets, others might be sort of like 1920s biplanes, others may just sort of not get up in the air at all. But whatever journey we go on, we have to refuel. We
Yeah.
have to stop, but also in refueling, we also discard to make us light for the next part of our journey. So for me, these periods of actual total inactivity are really important. And we talked a little bit about this, didn't we, Fulvia? We were
Yes,
sharing
we did.
experiences when we were setting this discussion up. Um, and I didn't say this part because I thought I'd keep this little bit, but I remember giving an address that came from the spirit world that said, you do need time to land. You do need time in the airport. You do need time to check your cargo, to discard your cargo, to take on more cargo. And that is as important as being up in the air and flying to your next destination. And sometimes it can seem like a really long time. Now, I always find that the spirit world clears my diary if other things need to happen. And I'm sure other people here will agree with me. We've had a lot of paperwork to do in our family recently with powers of attorney and financial issues, and it's been an absolute nightmare dealing with government bodies. And to be honest, if I had had 3 or 4 demonstrations a week, I would have been knackered. I would have been really tired. And
Yeah.
it's almost like the spirit was saying, well, we know you're going to really, go through it. It's going to be a bit heavy, but this is your life. You are entitled to live. You are not spirit only. You are spirit having a human existence. So personal development has to be a conscious choice, but it also has to be tempered with the fact that you are having a human experience and other things will and should take precedent.
Yes. And if you think about it, Angela, also the human experience um, contributes to our spiritual growth. So it's, even when you're talking about the bureaucracy experience, even that one, you know, can be one day you don't know when on how or how you remember, or someone will come forward for you or for someone else. You know, I was there queuing in that office, and it will make sense for someone, um, or filling in paperwork. Everything that we live, either on a spiritual level and a human level, it's useful for us. Um, uh, what? How can you relate your personal experience when you were, you know, developing, um, not as a medium, as a speaker, what was your experience? What was your experience in
Okay.
your development uh, journey?
I think that there are two big differences between my human life and my spiritual life. And I suppose the human life is very cluttered and it has lots of layers. And as you talk about bureaucracy, and it has pecking orders, and it has um, society, and it has culture, and it has so much going on for it. It's a bit like an aubergine that has layer upon layer upon layer. And one thing I found about the spiritual life, especially since I came into spiritualism, and I have to thank my father for this, because one of the first messages he gave me after he died, and he trained to be a Catholic priest at some time, so he was quite a spiritual man, although we didn't get to discuss it much. One of the first things he said to me was he was looking at something, and he said, "This is much bigger than you could ever believe. Get rid of the middleman." Now, the middleman for me at the time was the Catholic Church, but the
I see.
middleman can be anybody that intervenes between you and what you know in your heart is correct. So I think my spiritual development has meant that it's been much less cluttered, much less layered. I have tried, apart from when I've been doing obvious things that require um, coursework and knowledge of certain structures and all that sort of thing. But when you get down to the pure essence of spiritual connection, it's the spirit world and me. There is no middleman. And it's the most honest and it's the most pure relationship, and I can trust it. And it's not a belief, it's a knowing, it's an understanding. And when you see that, when you truly understand that this is something, it's like when you die, there's only you and the spirit world there.
Yeah.
When you're born, it's only you and the spirit world. But we tend to clutter up so much with additional layers that it becomes like a Chinese whisper. And although we might rely on this for strength, for community, for understanding, for knowledge, there has to come a time in our development when we realize that it's just us and the spirit world, that I think it's a very psychic connection, actually. I think people talk about psychic connection, about people connecting psychically with each other. But in the purest form, we actually connect psychically with the spirit world. It's only when we communicate that to a third party that it becomes mediumship. But the pure form of psychic connection is us, spirit to spirit. And that has been a great part of my understanding, because it cuts out any illusions, delusions, it cuts out any misunderstanding, and it's heart to heart, soul to soul.
Yes, yes, it is. In your experience as a teacher now, well, for quite a while, what is the first, you know, mm, the first guideline that you give to your students? This could be helpful for those who are watching the live or will rewatch the recording.
It's very difficult because my personal choice is to work with those who are already have a fairly good understanding of a spiritual connection. There is so much out there for beginners. There is so much out there for people who want to help you understand your spiritual awakening, that little, making sense of that little voice you might have had from a child, understanding the mechanics of spiritual connection. But there comes a time when you actually have to understand the discipline. You have to understand when you can use it, when you can't use it, when it's appropriate, when it's not appropriate, when you can say not now, thank you, when you know what feels right, what doesn't, what you can say, what you can't say. So I tend to intervene at that stage when people who have the understanding and the awareness, and may even have been communicating with the spirit world for the benefit of others for a little while, and really want to make their um, skill into a discipline.
Hmm.
And at that stage, what you are doing is just giving people different tools. Nobody is going to give any one person all the skills that they need. So by the time people come to me, they will have brought good habits, they will have brought bad habits, they will have brought new habits, old habits. And what I try and do is to say, I have some ideas that might help you, but this isn't just about delivering a better message. This is about really understanding yourself and the responsibility you have with the spirit world to connect most fully for the benefit of another person. But in a way, that really only hones our natural skills of empathy, because mediums have an absolute natural ability to be empathic, and that can open us up to all sorts of issues, can't it?
Yes, yes.
Being at the end of the phone constantly, or having people around you who really don't know who else to turn to. So we have to become very disciplined to say time in, time out, time off, time on. Um, and that's where I come in to say, look, okay, now you understand that connection. Let's make it work for you and be part of your life in a way that is fulfilling for you and gives the, the best that you could possibly give.
And that's a good thing to develop. Because I guess when someone starts developing, especially the mediumistic faculties, we want to constantly connect to spirit,
Yeah,
and that's not possible. It's not possible to do that all the time, isn't it?
no, exactly. It's not meant to happen. You have to take the oxygen first. It's a bit like in an aeroplane when you take the oxygen first, and you have to create boundaries. And boundaries are better set when you understand your craft. So for me, it's understanding what is appropriate, what's not appropriate, what you can share with others, what you can't share, and making it. I will honestly say I have a real problem with the comment serving the spirit world. Now, half of you are going to go, oh my goodness, that's dreadful. But I think this is a being of service to the spirit world, because the spirit world needs us just as much as we need them. And we don't suddenly become superior beings the minute we die, and then everybody else is suddenly serving us. We will always be what we've always been. And it's I call it a triumvirate. So that is the spirit world, the medium, and the recipient, with the congregation on the outside. And all
Yes,
three have to understand and know what role they have to play. And we don't teach the recipient what is expected of them. So,
I
yeah,
agree. I
yeah,
do
you've
agree.
seen it happen. So we
Yes,
say, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that. And by the way, you better get it right, otherwise you ruin our connection. The medium gets trained, the spirit will know what they're doing, and the poor recipient is left expecting to understand. So my feeling is if we all know what we have to do, then we are all being of service to each other in equal measure. We are not serving anybody because it's a choice, it's a free choice. So I apologize if anybody's going, oh my goodness, did she just say that? Yes, yes, because I have a choice, and my choice is to be of service. And because I come from a background of a middleman, as you can imagine, with the way that we were brought up, it's a strong middleman attitude.
yes,
Then suddenly for my father to say, this isn't right, then if we change that relationship to being of service, suddenly we feel empowered, and we then honor and respect the craft that we have. And we give everybody in that triumvirate, the spirit world, the recipient, and even the congregation on the outside, um, full recognition of the role they have to place in order to make this really a great connection.
yes, yes. I can see, I can see your point, but don't you think that those who attend the spiritualist churches regularly, I guess they know as recipients, I'm talking about the recipients, they they know how to behave, or do you find that there's still, um, how can I say, not resistance, but maybe there could be more cooperation
Good word.
or with the medium?
I
Do you
think the
find that?
worst recipients are our fellow mediums. You tell a fellow medium not to feed another medium, and we just don't hear that. We just open our mouths. So I think the worst culprits are us mediums being a recipient because of our excitement. We don't get messages very often as a medium, so when we do, we get really excited about it, and we're not very good at shutting up and let the medium do the job. So I feel that we're as much to blame as a true recipient who has come for so many reasons to a spiritualist church, because they want to know more, because they're curious, because they've come with a friend to support them through a period of bereavement themselves, because they've reached a stage in their life when they're beginning to have experiences. And you put all these people in a room and then tell them, right, don't feed the medium, whatever that means. Say yes, no, and nothing more. And you're not giving them the tools that they need to make this experience really good, really, really good. And yeah, it's a balance, but I'm not sure that everybody is always empowered to know what this balance is all about. Be interested to know what our lovely people are thinking about this, if they've not sort of apoplectic and going, oh
I
my goodness, what
wish
did
I
she
had.
say?
I know Patrick. Patrick, hello, Patrick. Sorry, and we were. Thank you for joining, Patrick. Kay, hello, Keith. Thank you for joining, and Amanda. And if you have questions, please feel free. Feel free to ask questions. Um, Angela, while I was talking, what would be the downside of you know of a poor personal development? Um,
Uh,
what would be, as not only as not professionals, practicing mediums or healers, but in general as spiritual practitioners, what would be the downside of a poor self
the downside.
development?
Okay. The downside. Gosh, that's a difficult question. I don't know. There can be no downside to any spiritual development as long as it's done with honesty, integrity, a limited amount of ego. A little bit of ego doesn't hurt. It keeps your nerves from fraying, but not too much. Everything in proportion. And half the time, we don't know that we are progressing. I mean, if I was to look at myself now and look at myself when my children were born 40 years ago, I'm a completely different person. I had no idea that the journey I would be going through with children, with my husband working abroad for a time, um, with health issues, and all sorts of things would actually strengthen me as an individual and make me more resilient. And resilience is a big thing in any personal development. You have to be able to take the knocks, the good times and the bad times. So I don't think there is
Yeah.
any downside, but I do feel that people should be make a conscious decision that they want to engage. And if they are consciously engaged in the process, they will get more from it because they're not just passive, it's an active process.
Do you see often um, individuals, students who maybe, I don't know, they are not, um, completely engaged or completely committed to their development?
That's again a good expression because I have had students in my class and I wonder why they're there, to be honest. Um, and it's all about motive. So yes, I have seen those that have come into my class. This last beautiful group of students, probably least of all, but with previous classes, there have been students, and I'm thinking, I don't know why you're here. But people come for different reasons, and you can't second guess it. And you don't know what little seed is being sown that maybe isn't being reflected at that moment in time. But like my Reiki, I had no idea that this journey I started off to find my daughter, who I think possibly could, when the time comes, have a be very spiritually connected. She has had experiences, um,
I
but
see.
at the moment she's bringing up children. She's working. It's not the time and the place, but it's all about understanding. And if again, it's like every moment. If we are conscious in that moment, then we get the most out of it. Okay,
Oh,
here's we've
there's
got a
a question.
question.
Yeah. Do you think that personal development should include learning basic counseling skills so upcoming mediums understand the importance of noticing the mental state and or impact their words can have on the recipient?
That's a great question. And anything which makes you understand another individual better, even if it starts off by understanding you're better, is going to make you more empathic. And we do have people coming into this network of connection that maybe need to address other parts of their, I will say, behavior. I'll also say mental health, physical health, and maybe they are finding that are trying to find the answer to other problems, loneliness, bereavement. So we're never going to fully understand another individual, but sometimes red flags will show themselves. And when that's why I always screen my students before they come to one of my classes, because we can develop psychic skills. fact, developing psychic skills is very much the first part of the mediumship of the spiritual contact,
Yeah.
and you do get the feeling this is not where they should be. They're trying to find out. In fact, there was somebody called it spiritual bypassing, which was a which was a
Yeah, it was. I know
term that
about
I've
it,
heard.
spiritual bypassing. Yeah,
I'd never heard of it before. So would you
no,
like
I
to
know about
explain?
it.
Would
I
you
know
like to
about it.
explain maybe?
Spiritual bypassing is basically, in a few words, because then that could be actually the subject for an episode. Is basically going um, into development, spiritual development, and as you just said, Angela, ignoring, like, if someone has to resolve other things in their life with themselves, ignoring those things basically, and developing, spiritual developing, which in turns is, uh, could be, um, not, uh, a positive side of spiritual development and growth, because the risk is like a little bit, doing the shadow work. If you don't know the ugliest part of yourself and you don't integrate those parts, the risk is to project. And but there's also positive, a bright side, for, like, for all things. There's a bright side, and then, um, the things, the people who have gone through much in their life, a lot in their life, those are, uh, they made great, um, they become a great empaths, because they can resonate with what someone else is going through. They can feel it because they lived it before them. And um, but the spiritual bypassing is being aware, as you said, Angela. You said it, being aware of the work that we need to do on ourselves first and
Yeah.
foremost.
Yes. Yeah, so thank you. As this term I've just come across, and I saw it on Facebook, and I didn't understand it. So thank you for explaining it. And also, the comment also talks about the impact our words can have. Yes, this is all part of the next stage of learning about mediumship connection, is understanding the power of the words that you have. But that goes through everything in life. That isn't just to do with spirituality or mediumship or anything like this. Every time we will react or respond,
Yeah,
and it's very easy to react. And I am a typical bull. I'm a May baby, and I'm a bull under the sign, and yeah, typical bull. And I will often, my husband's not listening, but I will often react rather than respond. So my growth has been to learn to respond, but it's not easy, because although I get over things really quickly, my gut action is to react. And of course, that's almost like, that shows something in me, that I feel inadequate. I mean, that's it. It's almost, if I respond, I'm in control. It's a personal problem. It's not my problem. I remember a mother talking about her twin daughters, and every time they came to her for intervention in a situation, she would, personal problem. You go and sort it out yourselves. And so often, if we understand that what is happening isn't from us but comes through us, or is allow if we allow other people's demeanor to affect us, that can really have an effect on other people. So
yeah,
the impact of words in how we deliver information is a really important part of the discipline of mediumship in particular, but the discipline of communication in general.
It's the same. It's the same.
Yes, it is. So that's a great question. So thank you. Bring them on. Let's
Mhm.
have some more. But yes, it was an interesting one about all these terms. I didn't know anything about shadow work, or until Veronica explained it in a class that we were both leading, and I didn't know anything about bypassing. So again, education just seems to
No,
connect
it's
itself like a magnet to me.
spiritual bypassing. It's an interesting subject actually, and I do agree as well that there's maybe some counseling psychology skills, but there's also I also think that we need to be careful as well, unless someone is fully qualified, and even there we need to be careful because it, someone is not coming to us for uh,
Great
you know
point. That's not our role. That's not our role in that minute.
for a reading, a private sitting, or in church. That I'm not asking you to evaluate me, or for a
Let me just get my
session.
pen. Let me just get my pen and paper. I'll just do a quick scribble here.
So, uh,
No, yeah, we have to be very careful about what
yeah,
is a natural part of how we communicate, and then anticipating that we can extend that. But there are so many people around us that we can say that we can direct people to who are fully qualified, and it it's the role of communication to know when to leave well alone, when to intervene, when to be able to offer something that might just sow a seed. But hey, as with any form of communication, it's a minefield. So don't go into it, unless you really know what you're doing.
yes, exactly. And Angela, what type of
Yeah,
there's
another
another
question.
question there. Do you think personal responsibility should be more prevalent in development and training?
Of course, it's an important tenet of the philosophy of spiritualism, and in fact, I think it's probably the one tenet that everybody on this planet should be considering. It doesn't matter where they come from, what their spiritual beliefs are, what their understanding. Personal responsibility would stop a lot of problems at source. And there isn't this. There is this transfer. Is it transference that people talk about? Where there's this transference of responsibility. It's not me. It's them.
Mm,
I haven't got the problem everybody else has,
yeah,
and it's a way of masking your own pain very often. It's not facing up to things, but I think personal responsibility is a key point in anybody's in everything that we do. Even if you have no religious understanding, no spiritual understanding, even in the basic humanist approach, personal responsibility is the one aspect that should govern all our lives. And if we wouldn't like it done to us, don't do it to others.
yeah, exactly. But I
Yeah,
guess this is a concept that it's taught to us, and well, I don't have children, but I guess parents teach to children what's right, what's wrong, um, when it's kind also stems from there too. But I guess as adults we tend to forget at times.
yeah.
And Angela, what types of um, what types of um, personal development methods would you recommend to those who are on their journey?
I think sometimes you are attracted to something. It's not always, it might be a community that has like minded people so that you can discuss. I mean, I have found the greatest way to form my own understanding about what I believe in is about talking about it in a community situation or a discussion group. It really does seem to form a catalyst of, that's the right word, um, of what I understand at that moment in time, because it'll change. It'll change, and you
Yes.
might, your changing might become cyclical. You might go back to a form of thinking that you had a while ago. You might think, well, actually, I did believe in that. I mean, many people find, for example, that near to their death, that they will often become far more religious. Some will sort of joke and say you're hedging your bets, but some will actually find something that they had put to one side. I won't say lost, but had put to one side. So I feel that this journey is so individual, but there is enough out there to suit everybody, whether it's something on television, whether it's something a child says that moves you to make you think, whether it's watching animals play, whether it's reading something, whether it's whatever it might be. There is something for everybody. You don't have to search for it. It will, if you just, if I know what it is, what would it be? Which is a beautiful mantra somebody, a medium, said many years ago. And one that's on my Facebook page. I seek, I find, I share, which was words that Spirit gave to me. All you have to do is to seek. And in that seeking process, you'll be surprised how once you give permission for it to flower, then the development that you need at that moment in time will be made available to you. But as we always are told by the spirit world, if we don't ask, we don't get. So,
Yes.
yeah, so I would always say just throw out the desire. If I know what it is, what would it be? And people will be surprised by the opportunities to come, which they have free will, free won't, free can't, free shan't.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
It's not just free will, but free will, free won't, free can't, free shan't. And all those apply at any moment in your life. But if you say, okay, this is where I need to be, then it'll be right for you in whatever form it comes to you. There is no one way of doing it.
I see, Angela. Angela, what someone should do to know themselves better?
Um,
More, for our personal development and growth.
I mean, we have these expressions about meditating and sitting in the power, but allowing the world to stop because we so concentrate on everything externally that's happening to us that's bombarding our five senses that if we allowed our five senses to quieten, that's the time when we most get to understand who we are and what we need next. Otherwise, we're constantly bombarded and there is no space for that inner reflection. So, for me, whether it's going for a walk, maybe going for a walk with a dog, in nature, I love woods. I love rivers. Seas, not so much. I find them quite noisy and, too much for my senses. But rivers, wherever you find that you get peace, and in a strange way, time will extend to fit what you need. That's what I find extraordinary. Time almost stops. So as long as you allow it and give it space, healer, heal thyself. Yeah,
Yeah, you
you
can
can't heal
heal
others
others.
still bleeding from open wounds. Yes, that's a beautiful statement. And that's true. You need to give yourself time. You need to take the oxygen. There's this beautiful once you start to breathe properly, there's so many beautiful ways of being in the moment, whether it's the full breath, in, hold, out, hold, and sort of doing it as a square
Yeah.
breathing routine, listening to beautiful music. I mean, I love Madame Butterfly. My husband loves Led Zeppelin, and he is in that space. I mean, I tell you, if Page and Plant came to our front door, my husband would be a melt on the floor.
I
That's
believe that.
me. Probably not. I'd probably offer them a cup of tea first and watch his reaction. But what we all know, we all are totally aware of what gives us peace. And if you can find that and then use that as your anchor to move into the next phase of your understanding, that will be your key. And it's as personal as you are. And yes, you do need to look after yourself. You can't help others if you yourself are not in that place first. Yeah.
Yeah. Angela, do you think that since the pandemic, there has been um, a research on of the focus on personal development, or this is something that has always been there?
Um, we had to be very careful that it doesn't become the buzzword. Suddenly it becomes fashionable.
Mm,
Though the route to finding that for an individual probably doesn't matter, the means justifies the ends. So I do feel that people are managing their time differently. They are changing their values. Um, I know my son doesn't have a 2-hour drive, an hour in, an hour out every day because he's working from home more often. So time is being used to more effectiveness. Um, so I think once we remove, I suppose, the grind of work, many people say, although we keep extending these years of having to work, don't we, for our poor young
yeah,
people?
unfortunately, yes.
I would say that they call it the new age, don't they? The age of enlightenment. But these are all buzzwords. Whatever is having at a macro level, the micro influence of personal development and knowing who you are has always been there,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. It does. Absolutely does. Um, it's often been said that before the touching spirit, we need to, you know our spirit within,
Yeah.
and that's basically our the basis of our self development.
But,
And
but I will just say we do tend to complicate the process and think that it's got to have lots of layers to it. And basically it's our spiritual right. So we man just likes to make it full of ritual and progression and layers and to be honest it's our natural birthright, so we should strip all that away and just, what's that, kiss, is it the KISS principle, keep it simple stupid? Have you heard that one? It's a peculiar statement, keep it simple stupid. It's just we tend to overcomplicate even the most basic values in life, and personal development should be at that level.
well, I guess maybe yes, yes, maybe the nature, because of the nature of um, what we do, and the fact that we need to develop also a high level of compassion, a high level of empathy, and don't you think that maybe that's also the reason why there's this over let's call it over complication to the process, because
Yes.
not everybody, not everybody has mm, that level of compassion, that level of empathy, because they didn't go through the same situation as the person that is standing before them.
Yeah, we're all individual. We all come from a different place. We've all had to fight different demons, which can toughen us. It can remove our gentleness. It can make it so that we can appear quite hard because that's a survival instinct.
Mm.
So it's very difficult to supersede that and to rise above those elements which can make us hard to find that element within us, which is our gentleness and our compassion and our empathy and all those words which are so subjective, but which should make the human race very special.
Yeah. And I guess our sensitivity is what make us um, you know, I don't want to, no, not stand out, but being embrace others. Let's see, 2020 in 2020 is perfect eyesight. The
Oh,
year,
yes, 2020 vision. 2020 vision is perfect. Yes, that's what. Yeah, I get that.
okay, the year 2020, the universe gave us all clear vision as to how influential spiritualism can be. Yes, and is in all our life, even if you are not a believer. We started to see the taken for granted elements in our lives. I believe it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose with COVID, yes, I suppose COVID made us see and react. It certainly changed our lives overnight. There's absolutely no doubt. I mean, would we have been having conversations like this 6 years ago, 5 years ago?
Yeah,
Probably not. So the fact that it allows communities to grow within a safe environment then gives people the opportunity to share their thoughts and their feelings. Oh, there she is. Yeah, we're back. Yeah, we lost you for a second, Fulvia. But you're back now.
yeah, I
You're
can
okay.
see. Yes, yes. No, no, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Um, yes, certainly um, the COVID situation actually brought people together. There was a strong community element, and and for sure, spiritualism proved how um, you know could bring it could bring people together, and how its philosophy um, is valid in the you know for humanity, for us as in our daily life.
Exactly. Yeah. I
So
think I probably would like just to add at this stage just a note I made when I was thinking about what we were going to talk about. This is all about what are your priorities and how can you achieve these to expand your own horizon. That probably says it all. That probably
yeah,
says it all. And that answer is going to be as individual as everybody here.
yes, of course, of course.
But now is the
Yeah.
best time to start that journey of discovery. There, the
Thank
time is now.
you. Thank you very much, Angela. And thank you very much, Angela. Thank you very much for being here with me this evening. And I'm sure that those who were watching the live and listening to you talking learned something more. And there's a lot of food for thoughts there. And for those
That's what it
who
is.
are pursuing their development journey,
Yeah.
me included,
All of
uh,
us. All of us.
me included. So
But
thank
enjoy the
you.
process. This isn't a chore. This is a lifelong exploration of the self and enjoy it and enjoy who you might find out you are. And, it'll go round in circles. Sometimes you'll think, well, that didn't work. or sometimes you'll think that was amazing and it'll just be one spark. Oh,
Oh well,
thank you for that. Lovely comments. Brilliant.
okay.
Thank you for inviting
So
me, Fulvia.
you're very welcome, Angela. Was my really my honor to have you here this evening, and I would like to thank everybody, all those who came to the live, and those who will rewatch the recording. This is the last episode for 2025 because anyway, next in 2 weeks' time we will be very close to the festive season. So I know people are all hustling and bustling, going around, buying presents, and getting ready. I will see you back all on the 8th of January, and we start the new year with a bang because Veronica Jenkins will be the first guest for the for January in January 2026, the 8th of January. So take note on your new calendars, please. I'll see you all back in January 2026. Thank you, Angela, for being with me. Thank you, everybody, and take care. And see you soon in a month time. Bye.
Happy Christmas to you all. Take
Happy
care.
Christmas to you all.
Bye.
Bye.